Now, back to Did She Say That with Sonnie Johnson.
All right, welcome back. I'm not going to spend too much time talking, and I'm going to go ahead and give the people what they want. What's up, JaVonni?
Hey, what's up?
Okay, so I'm having a fucked up week. So I asked JaVonni, I reached out, I said I need help. So JaVonni's going to give us a double dose today. We're going to do our regular thing, and then we have something fun for you in last segment. So, ready? You want to just jump in?
Ooh, I am ready, yes.
All right, no, I have been warned that I need to have my big girl panties on because my emotions will not be allowed. If I get a little emotional, he said he has a little violin to play for me.
Oh, yes. I used to have that growing up. The same thing happened to me. Yeah, that's how I learned to get tough.
I put myself on check. I I can't have JaVonni playing the violin for me. That is like an absolute refusal. So I came on point. Let's go.
So a few days ago, the leader of the North Carolina chapter of the NAACP, William Barber, was thrown off of a plane for his failure to take criticism, which I refer to as a disavowalment of the First Amendment. What exactly was he criticized for, you asked? The fact that this 350-pound walking clogged artery took up 2 whole entire seats on the plane. I actually support the heckler. Economy airplane seats are only comfortable to people with scoliosis and recent encounters with Mandingo. So to see Shamu comfortably seated in a row of seats all by himself, that would make me angry as well. What do you think, Sonnie?
I'd rather he sat by himself. I'm like, just give him the free tickets so nobody else got to sit by him. I am super skinny, okay? So I have to catch a whole bunch of planes. Nothing makes me feel worse than having a big person beside me. And I'm small, so I'll give you the respect of like scooting over so you can have a little bit of extra space because I can see you need it. But when you want that and you got to spread out even more to the fact that you're touching me, I have a huge problem with that. But what trips me out about this story is how he plays so nice afterwards. It was like, no, it was just a misunderstanding. And I'm such a good, faithful citizen that, even though I had to stand up and confront the criticism face to face, I held myself good, but I was the one that got escorted off the plane.
If that great big bear stood over me to confront me on a plane, he needs to be thrown off. We're going off together.
No, we have this thing called, I'll say black people radar, but where I'm from, we would say it's called nigger radar, right? As soon as you hear someone saying that, it's like somebody said, what had happened was, it's like that catchphrase. As soon as you hear somebody saying that, you know that the next thing out of their mouth is going to be bullshit. You know what I'm saying? You really said it like that, huh? That's why your mama kicked you out. Because, you said, right away.
But what this reminds me of is like on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, Kenya Moore is the troublemaker. And she keeps getting up out of her seat at people and aiming bullhorns and whatnot in their face. And it's an issue with personal space. I have a huge issue with that, mind you. The second that he turned around to respond to me would have been the end of it. Oh, no. I don't fight bears. I refuse. And the NAACP is a tough crowd anyway, as well as union members are. They're not exactly folks to be going toe-to-toe with.
Yeah, but no, I'm serious. As soon as you hear the fact that he was like, don't believe the things that you heard about. The whole incident in and of itself, I ride the plane too much. So I'm just sitting there with my fingers crossed. Don't let somebody sit beside me and please, you know what I'm saying? Just don't let it be a person that likes to touch me. So I don't care if it's because you're fat or because you're just touchy or because you're sleepy and you think it's okay to lay on me. I'm just one of those people where you don't touch me. If you do not touch me, me and you are good on the airplane. I don't really care about your baby crying because I'm around kids, so I can even understand that. Now, I feel for you more than I want you to shut the kid up, but I cannot stand to be touched. And that's just that's just it on that. But the dude who opened his mouth was sitting behind him.
Right. And he said that he had some type of arthritis, so he couldn't
he had to get up,
turn around to look at him. That's why he needed to stand up and turn around. Whatever. But
no, one of them got put off the plane. And I'm sure it wasn't because you had nice things to say about the guy behind you. I'm going to rest my case on that. I know you didn't say something nice. I know you full of shit. And you said something that made them want to kick you off that plane. So stop lying.
And sidebar about big people on the planes, they say that if you want to have some space, that it's a good idea to follow the big person and sit next to them because nobody is going to try and fit in between.
No, what is hard to do is to not laugh if you. I hate this. I don't have nothing against big people, but I'm not gonna lie. Like when you on the airplane and you see a big person and they can't get the seatbelt on and they're like really trying to do it. Like, how are we not supposed to laugh at that? You know, like I understand.
Sonnie, I will set you up an anonymous Vine. I will give you the password to my Vine account so that you can record that for me. And you won't have to have your name attached to it.
No, I would not. No, go. Next, stop. I'm going to get...
I am fat shaming, okay? You got that, America? Sonnie isn't, but I am. Please direct all complaints to JaVonni.
To JaVonni, yes, direct them to him.
All right, so moving along. During a town hall in London, President Barack Hussein Obama, I like to say that just to piss people off, gave some words to Black Lives Matter saying, you can't just keep yelling. Now, I love the fact that he did this in London, so like if they start burning shit down, it won't affect him at all. Or he won't be held, won't have to hold the tab. Anyway, Obama's an intelligent man, so much so that little Marco said it about 5 times in a perfect echo. But even he gets it. This is like the 3rd rebuke that Black Lives Matter has received during this presidential race. Hillary told them they need to come up with a systematic plan. Bill told them they're killing their own race. And tell the truth. And now this. Do you think that Black Lives Matter might be beginning to lose their steam?
I got asked a question about what I think about D-Ray. And I answered the question like this. I said,
tell the truth.
No, listen. This is the point. I said that he is now participating in the system. So he is going to see what it looks like inside the Democratic machine. And what Democrats don't understand, and this is the same thing goes with Republicans. A lot of us have looked inside of the machine and we don't like what we see. So when you're getting all of this opposition from Black Lives Matter because, and this is what Obama is criticizing them for, you're not working with us. You're not talking with us. You're not giving us ideas. You're not, a lot of these people that are the head of this now, they know how the system works. And they know that they want Black Lives Matter to be used as puppetry to, distract from what's actually going on in the country right now. They understand that they don't want to be used as puppets. And that's why Obama is mad, because now the army that they created, the monster that they created, their Frankenstein, is not under their control anymore. And that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to get them to say, you need to come and play with us. You need to stop your big Frankenstein and get along to, go along within the democratic system. And a lot of people in Black Lives Matter are refusing to do that. Like I said to Republicans, how long before you fill that void? So we're supposed to take this story and make it fun to bash Democrats, but you have to start realizing, Republicans, there is that void, and you have to get in. You have to fight in that space. And I'm trying to do it, but good gracious, more voices, more force, a larger group of us will make a more of an impact than the little impact that we're having right now.
Absolutely. Big tent.
See, you ain't expect that, did you?
I was expecting the boo-hooing, bawling out, crying. Where's that, Sonnie? That's what I was prepared for. I had my little violin ready.
When Obama got elected in 2008, right, I basically had to make a concession speech because I didn't vote for him. But all the black people were happy, and they were like, we got the black president, and woo-hoo-hoo. Everybody was crying. And I made a blog post as my concession speech that year, and it was like, you better show up for him. You better help him. You better push legislators for him. You better learn policy for him because he can't do it by himself. And this wasn't because I was in support of Barack Obama. It was me telling black people, I don't really care. You got to get active because I want more of them to see behind the machine so they see how rotten it is to its core and they want something different. The more people you...
Oh, you meant that. Rotten.
It's rotten. You get them in there, you let them see for themselves. You don't have to convince them of what's there. What you have to convince them of is who you are. And that's what's missing on our side. So that's the void that I try to fill.
I think you're doing a good job of that so far.
I'll take it.
I am in support. Okay. So moving along, we've already dealt with the backlash of what we've come to refer to as the chalkening, where Donald Trump's name written in chalk at Emory University actually sent students into therapy. Which, by the way, I don't know. Were there any reports of people who actually went through therapy?
Of course not. That's how you shut people up.
I mean, come on, you've got to stick to it. That was my thing. I wanted to hear like reports of how the therapy went, like how they actually dealt with seeing Donald Trump's name, how traumatizing it was. But anyway, it gets worse. A Bucknell University student was kicked off of student council as class president for joining Breitbart. The sad part about this is that all he did was get a part-time job. Like if he was, banking money behind this, maybe I could see it. But I just love that Breitbart upsets people so much that they get to have their arms twisted and fired for the name, just for the name association. Sonnie, I am certain you've experienced some backlash being with Breitbart. Would you like to share some of your experiences?
So I went to Gettysburg last Tuesday. I gave a speech, right? Basically, I did me. It's nothing more than what you'll hear on this show from week to week. Black girl gets up. She's like, the context of her question was, you're not bashing black people. And it hit me so hard that she would even ask that question. Like it literally knocked me out of my space because I'm like, is that actually your complaint? Your complaint is that I'm not calling black people a monkey or an ape or an animal. Like that is really what has you upset. And she was like, yes. And I was like, wow. So then I guess she gets all mad. She storms out. And about 3 minutes later, she comes back with a hoodie on, sits down in her original seat, and stays there for the rest of the question and answer section. So I'm sitting there like, it makes zero sense to me. And every time I'm answering questions, I have to look at this girl's face and be like, what the hell? But the good part was afterwards, a black and a white girl came together and they both came up to me afterwards and they were like, well, we support Black Lives Matter. And even though we don't agree with you on everything, thank you for coming.
I mean, you were complimented by Black Lives Matter people like this. That deserves an award.
They came there purposely to protest me and all of them left basically with nothing to protest and had Black Lives Matter people at least acknowledging some form of respect. So that's my experience. So you go in and I started the whole speech. I premised the whole speech on what is your purpose. And I told them my purpose is not to represent the Republican Party or either one of the Republican candidates. Like the students got pissed at me because I wouldn't pick a side between Ted Cruz and Donald Trump. And I said, I don't care. I'm trying to fight for capitalism right now. I don't care which I'm not worried about the candidates right now. Right now, I'm trying to fight over an idea. Like, this made them flip out, that the fact that I wouldn't make it personal. I took away their ability to personalize it and to turn it into crap. But I did have this one delightful gentleman who wanted to step up and basically be glad that Breitbart was dead and go on his little tirade. And all I did was wish him 10 times that God granted the prayer he wished over Andrew all over him. Get it back 10 times. All the love you just gave out me, you get it back 10 times. In one night. There you go. That's my experience. And we're going to talk about the other part of it in segment 3. I'll never be taken off guard by people who came with malice in their heart from the beginning. I'll never be taken off guard by them again. I'm just not that kind of person, so it's kind of shocking to me.
Okay. I mean, so...
I wouldn't take it, I wouldn't say it as a compliment. I would say it at least as an act of respect, and I'll accept that.
So, this next topic's a little tough for me. I only brought it up because of Sonnie's reaction to what happened. This week, a 16-year-old girl was killed by a group of girls in a high school bathroom, leading to the hashtag RIP Amy. Now, being the tone-deaf person that I am, in full disclosure, I don't have any children, and I feel like Real Housewives of Potomac's Karen Huger, who told a cast member, you need to let your husband stay inside of you, ejaculate, have some kids of your own, and then you can comment on somebody else's. So I really don't know how much I can add to this discussion, but I do think it's really awful. Like, I didn't go to school and witness stuff like that, so it's hard to fathom just that happening. So what are your thoughts?
I heard this story, Friday morning? I had to go and talk to my daughter about it. Now, I'm like a psycho mom. I'm one of them moms. My mission in life is to live in the back of her head. So, like, any situation where she is, she should hear me saying, you know better than this, or try harder than that, or whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? She should hear me in the back of her head. And she hates that about me. So I had to go and talk to her, and I had to tell her, I was like, me and your dad have worked really hard that you didn't have to grow up how we grew up. We grew up where this was normal. This was a Tuesday, you know what I'm saying, at my school. It wasn't, not that the kid died, but the fights, the, 4-on-1 fights, the fighting for no reason. The last day of school, just pick somebody to fight because it's the last day of school and nothing can happen to you. Like, this was normal for us. But we worked real hard that my daughter never had to experience that. But she is in a public school. And I could have the option of taking her out and putting her somewhere where it's more safe, but that's just a different kind of bullying. That's just a different kind of situation. You know what I'm saying? But each one of them teaches her the same thing, the same life lessons that you have to learn to deal with the people that surround you. And for me, I just want her to be surrounded by people that have to deal with shit, that people that have problems, that people aren't perfect. So it humbles her to appreciate what she has. And I supplement her educationally on the stuff that she's not picking up at school. So I make sure I fill in the dots where I know things are missing in the public education system. Right? So I have to tell her this. I'm freaking crying. I'm pouring tears down my face because I'm like, I can't protect you forever. Like, all of the things that I tell you.
I do remember seeing you say that, like, early Friday morning. You're the reason why I knew about this story. The first thing that came up was, I think you said R.I.P. Amy, WTF. And I was like, oh, God. And you're like, we just had 3 deaths this week. What on earth just happened?
And I'm like, this little girl is beautiful. She's beautiful and smart. It was for no other reason than those little bitches was jealous of her. They were jealous of her beauty. They were jealous of her brains. They were probably jealous of her personality. They were probably jealous of her swag. And that was reason enough for them to fight on that girl. That has to stop. What is pissed me off beyond any level is that when you talk about a subject like this, instead of thinking about the mentality that we have that makes that shit okay, you want to start talking about how white people have oppressed us. Okay, motherfucker. If you want to deal with white oppression, I'll do it with you. Fine, fight with you. But can we at least stop fucking killing ourselves first? Can we, for the purpose of fighting white oppression, we need a strong black army. So in order to have this strong black army, it would probably be a good idea to stop fucking killing ourselves. So I don't want to have that secondary fight with you about Republicans and Democrats or white people or any of that shit. This should be under our control as a community to start putting value back. We don't have to wait for white people to make our lives fucking mean something. And we should not have to be dead before our fucking lives mean something. I have a 11-year-old daughter. Do you understand me? That's why I do what the fuck I do. She is smart. She is beautiful. She is sassy. She is funny. She is all of those things I know those little bitches gonna hate.
And see, ladies and gentlemen, this is where Sonnie shuts JaVonni up.
We have to stop. We have to stop this. It's not about politics. It's not about white people. It's not about that. It's about understanding we have value in our life.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Fuck that. We have to fix this. Nobody else is going to fix this. No law is going to fix this. No church is going to fix this. None of it is going to fix it until we say that this has to be the moment that we say fuck the rest of it. And we're going to focus on just this one thing. Just one fucking thing, that our lives matter and we should not die before other black people recognize it. I'm in fucking rage. I get it. Prince was an icon. I get it. But more than likely, he did it to himself. This girl did nothing.
And this is, it's every parent's worst nightmare for that to happen, to raise a good child. And I wanted to touch on the part that you mentioned about not removing your child from that school to go somewhere else, because I was raised by my grandparents, up until 14, when my granddad passed, and I moved up to D.C. And grandparents tend to spoil children. And looking back, I went to fine arts and magnet schools, and I was spoiled in the sense that I made the decision one day that I didn't like the school that I was in. I was asked, well, are you sure about that? And I said yes, and I was allowed to move. And I actually did that like more than once. And, again, looking back at it, we have people who cannot get their kids out of normal schools. And yet I guess, I don't know how to put it. I had these options for other, more upscale schools, and I just went and bounced just because I felt like it. And, those are social skills, et cetera, that children need to learn. If you go somewhere else, you're going to deal with the same thing, whether it's in school, college, at work. So, leave her there. And
you gotta deal with it. My daughter, I want her to be resilient. I don't want her to walk through life scared. I ain't trying to shelter her from everything. I want her to see regular people. I want her to know their struggles so she can have compassion for it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want her separated from the things that I fight for. I want her to see those, even though she gets to see something different. We're gonna cut out Prince time for me to tell this story. We went to school one day. They had like Parents' Day, and me and my husband went, and all the little boys were looking at my husband and started crying. And I'm like, what the hell? But my husband knew right away what it was. So my husband gets up. He was sitting beside me on one side of the table. So my husband gets up, he goes on the other side, and he sits between the boys. And, he just starts chatting with them and making them feel good, making them smile, and you can see their whole persona change when he did that. But they were like crying, upset because their parents don't show up. Their parents won't show up. And this is what we need to understand as a community, is that if the other parents aren't going to show up, most of them can't show up because they have to work. So give them that. But if you have the ability to show up, show up. And don't just show up and show off your kid. Show up and show love to every single kid that's in that room, every single one that they can touch. Like my kids in my daughter's school is like, oh, she's the tall one. She's the, like that's what they call me, the tall lady, because, I'm like way taller than all of them. But that's how they recognize me, as the tall one, but they know me as Amar's mom. And I go on the field trips because I can. I show up because I can. More of us have to do that, even if, like, your kid isn't there, if you can volunteer, if you can find a way to try to give these kids what they don't have. Because we have to do it. Nobody else gives a fuck about them at some point that they'll ever get, but it could be more than enough to change them forever. It could be more than enough to motivate them. It could be more than enough to make them strive for. It's going to take us to realize that we have value in ourselves, and that value is worth something. And if the kids aren't going to get it from their parents, then people like us that have it have to step in and not try to turn them into the Republicans, but just try to love on them and tell them good shit, feed them good shit, give them books, give them suits and dresses, and teach them how to shake hands properly, how to look people in the eye, teach them that this is what it means to respect yourself. It's not you doing it for a white person or changing who you are. No, it's starting you to see who you are. And that starts with a fucking level of respect for yourself. That's what they need to hear. And they need to hear it from somebody close. And they need to hear it from somebody that gives a damn.
This is the second time that Sonnie has managed to shut JaVonni up. I don't like this batting average. You got to do something about it.
Well, you do it most of the time. It's just this subject is emotional. This subject, you know what I'm saying? That shit fuck with me.
Yes.
Okay, you can go ahead. We can talk about Prince. We'll make it short and sweet.
So, they say that when folks pass, that it happens in threes. We had the superstar wrestler Chyna who passed. I can't think of her name, from Everyone Loves Raymond, the mother, she passed. And lastly, Prince, which was a shock to everyone. He was near 60 years old. Who could imagine Prince being near 60? Like, all of my peers seemed to listen to him. Would have definitely thought he was like 20 years younger. I mean, at least looked it.
Black don't crack, right?
Okay. So one little thing that kind of bothered me with this, they hadn't quite come to a conclusion on what happened. All that anyone had heard was that he had the flu. And who has to be the first person to take a hint of something and run with it? TMZ mentioned that people who normally have the flu, they come back. But he was going back and forth, sick, not sick, etc., hinting that it could be drugs, but they did not conclude that it was. Bill O'Reilly does a segment on drugs in America based on Prince's death. Why? Why would I be surprised at such a thing? Had to take the bait and run with it. I was never a huge fan of his, but I'm a fan of music. I mean, the man stayed out of trouble. He made sure that he was known for his craft and nothing else. And played 20 instruments, something like that. How do you not respect a person like that? You have any Prince experiences?
My favorite Prince song is "I Hate You." Nobody.
That sounds like a title you would like.
Yes, I love it. I like stories, and he just lays. It's beautiful. Okay, because my favorite rap song is Eminem's. What's the one where he talks about killing Kim? That's my favorite hip hop love song, because I'm like, for you to write that song and hate someone that much, you have to love them. It has to be like from an area and depth of love that's like unfucking real for you to hate someone that bad. So I'm like weird in that way, but I look at it. You know what I'm saying? That just sounded real messed up, didn't it? I like made that comparison to Prince and.
Oh man.
Okay, but in context of what I like, that's the truth. During the age of Prince, I was more into James Brown and Rick James. So what made everything for me was when Dave Chappelle came out with the Prince skits with Charlie Murphy. If you have not watched them, you have not laughed. Okay, and in the end, all I'm going to say is blouses. Blouses win. And you need to watch it so you can fully understand that and get the fucking laugh. And I'm going to walk away from that, because if that doesn't humanize Prince for you, if that doesn't show you the man behind, you know what I'm saying, the music, and just the funniest way, Dave Chappelle's talent with Charlie Murphy, and just this perfect Prince story, it is the best. So I recommend that. Yeah, Charlie!
Charlie Murphy.
And they made us pancakes.
And can I add? I mean, I love the quirkiness of him. I mean, he had Questlove once as hired for a DJ gig, and multiple times he came over to the DJ booth and he was like, just stop. And he said, go play something else, and he changed the track, and then he came back later still pissed, and he was like, just change the track again. And then finally, his assistant walks up to him and said, here, cut it off. Just stop playing. Handed him a blank DVD. He puts a blank CD, he puts it in, and it was a Finding Nemo disc. Like, how terrible could you possibly be? Or what bigger insult as a DJ to be told to stop and just play an instrumental to Finding Nemo? Now that's epic. That's something that only Prince could do at a party. Imagine going to a party and like the background music be Finding Nemo.
And once they tell you it's because it's what Prince wanted to hear, you say, oh, and then you shut your mouth and you listen to it because that's what Prince wanted to hear.
So while we were talking about raising your daughter, etc., there was a woman in the news this week who she recorded herself on social media in like the most epic act of criticism to her children. She sat their phones on top of a tree stump, loaded up a shotgun, announced that she was denouncing social media, and blew up their phones one by one. I could only imagine like the response as a teenager hearing that, because I was nicknamed Phone. Like at 18, I was kind of a late bloomer. I didn't get my first phone until after high school. But yeah, they said that they thought the phone was like welded to my hand. I never put it down. Do you think that that's a little harsh of parenting?
No. But this is the point of what I try to tell people that are kind of my age that are having kids. Like, you can't wait till your kid is like 12 or 13 and then start wanting to be a parent. And like, that's like a lot of where this problem comes from, is that you didn't do what was necessary at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to not have these problems at 12, 13, 14, 15. And I won't say that for every case, because, you know, there are always special circumstances. But the majority of it was you didn't lay that shit down when they was younger. So whether it was you let them eat sweets when they wanted to eat sweets, now they've replaced the sweets with their cell phone. Or you know what I'm saying? You let them watch Teletubbies when the fuck they wanted to watch Teletubbies. Now it's replaced with their phone now. So it's all of these bad habits that you created when your kid was small is now being replaced by their phone, by their tablet, by their DS. Now, understand, my daughter has all three, but let me tell you what my daughter has in abundance of that. She has books. she gets to pick her own books that make her, happy to read, but she also has to read the books that I pick for her. So, like, I just picked Scarlet Letter, and me and her are getting ready to start that. So she has to read all of the classics because I pick the classics and make her reread those. It's all about what you start them with. So you can't take them away from the technology. You can't take them away from the culture. You can't do that, but you can balance it out. By the time they 13, 14, 15, if you think shooting their cell phones is going to stop them from accomplishing what the fuck they want to accomplish, you are more delusional than the children are. Because I guarantee you, they will find another way to get access to social media. They will find another way to get on Snapchat and check their Facebook and tweet their friends. They will find another way, and you won't be smart enough to follow their breadcrumbs.
Everyone knows that I'm big on social media, but it's only for, like I announced a couple times this week, it's only for business purposes. Like I said, if it weren't for work, I would delete Facebook. I would delete Twitter. I didn't want to join Facebook, and I was very hesitant about Twitter. I knew in my mind, when you start this, like, you have started something. It's a whole lot that comes with it. And surely enough, that's exactly what happened. Unfortunately, my work is tied heavily to social media, but this generation, adults included especially, are very disconnected because of it. I grew up doing homework at the table and reading. I read books all of the time. I think one year I finished the whole summer reading program at the library, like within the first week, and they said, okay, you need to pace yourself. Okay, we get that you're competitive, but tone it down a little bit. Try and read a little slower. But again, the generation lacks social skills. Going out, mingling, speaking, making eye contact, all of that stuff that you mentioned. That all starts much earlier than shooting your 16-year-old's phone.
Yes, exactly. By the time you get to 16, you can forget about it if you think that shit gonna work. If y'all don't have a level of respect by that point, all you did was waste the money you spent on them cell phones and you accomplished nothing else. So there you go. All right, we're going to come back in just a few seconds, and we're going to have some fun on a subject that both of us love. All right, JaVonni, hold over for 1 second. You guys know my fellow Breitbart brother Milo Yiannopoulos, right? The most fabulous supervillain on the internet. Well, did you know he has a podcast too? Yeah, it's called The Milo Yiannopoulos Show, and you can check it out right here on podcastone.com and on Breitbart. Now, you've heard about the former pharmaceutical industry exec who was called the most hated man in America for raising the price of one pill by 5,556%, right? His name is Martin Shkreli, and Milo recently interviewed him on his podcast. It's a great episode, and you don't want to miss it. So be sure to check out the Milo Yiannopoulos Show on podcastone.com or download the free Podcast One app today. And while you're there, I just wanted to remind you that there are now 2 ways to listen to all the great Podcast One podcasts. You can access all the past episodes of so many shows with Podcast One Premium. You can even write for the fan blog and send in questions in the AMA, Ask Me Anything section. It's about 14 cents a day, and it'll buy you 2 years of all the podcasts you could possibly want. Plus, you get a $50 gift card, so it's like getting a year for free. So go to podcastone.com/premium to sign up.
It's time for another Sonnyism. Democrats want to be the party of the poor. In order to do that, they have to keep you poor. Here, once again, is Sonnie Johnson.
That was your Sonnyism, and I know that you love it. Welcome back to Did She Say That, a Breitbart podcast on Podcast One. Make sure you follow me on all the social networking at Sonnie Johnson. You can find me. And also, you can find JaVonni at, get your handle, JaVonni.
JaVonni Media Mogul.
So, we only have a short period of time left for the podcast, but in this time period, we have to become capitalist champions. So, I'm at Gettysburg, and I have this girl from France stand up and ask me what's so wrong with socialism. And when I answer back to her, look at the black community, that's what the fuck is wrong with socialism. She had this puzzled look there on her face. And I had to say back to her, in the hood, everybody's equal. Everybody's equal in their poverty. And that shit isn't fun. and you know her immediate reaction was, well, you have to compare the poverty areas to the area. I said, no, you can't do that, because then you're comparing socialism to capitalism, and that's an unfair comparison. So that's what I want to talk to you about. Capitalism. I've said all along that this entire election cycle is going to be about the person that's able to carry a capitalist message across to the American people. It is more than just about the candidates. It is about the idea of free enterprise, the idea of the mobility from moving from poverty into the 1%, and understanding that sometimes the people in the 1% fall into poverty, that destruction is necessary for things to be rebuilt. If it wasn't, then we'd still be running around in horses and buggies instead of driving cars. You know, things have to go away for new things to make root. And we are in a period right now where new things need to take root. And to do that, you have to be involved in capitalism. So, JaVonni, will you be a capitalist champion with me?
Of course. Every day.
All right. Now, this is my favorite subject for JaVonni and capitalism, because people don't understand. They think that they're supposed to get shit without sacrifice. And this was what the white girl wanted me to say. But I was a little perplexed and didn't respond the way I should have, because I could have said, you know, I don't want to make it out of poverty into a comfortable lifestyle and then have to turn around and give your white ass my money. See, I should have said that, but I didn't. I will respond that way from now on, like, warning. But
take the filter off. Tell the truth.
That's exactly. But I wasn't too much was going on in my never mind. See, I almost did it. I almost slipped. But as capitalists, like, these are the things that, you know, we treasure. And one that I treasure most about you is work ethic. Go.
No true success story ever happened without any type of sacrifice. Mariah Carey slept on the floor on a mattress in an apartment with like 7 girls. The place flooded. I mean, most people in going to New York, they pack up and go back home. That'll be the end of it. I don't think I could handle something like that. I mean, but she did. She made it. Madonna showed up in Manhattan with a bag. There's no way in friggin' hell I'm going to do that. I'm looking around my apartment. I own too much shit. What am I going to do with this? You know? Nick Cannon was talking about being too broke to vote. Essentially saying, denouncing capitalism, like, dude, you are like one of the biggest people in entertainment. You're everywhere. No, you did not get here off of a government program. All the big success people, all the big successful names, you did not hear of them getting there, and they're going to cite public housing, etc., for being the big thing that turned them into a billionaire. No, it doesn't work that way. I work in my apartment sometimes up until my eyes are burning at 3 and 4 in the morning, etc. I'm adding more radio shows during the week. That did not happen by, and I think that I'm a bit of a success story. I hope Sonnie thinks such.
Oh, I think you're a treasure. I think that people haven't even started to see what you are yet.
But that came by my own volition. I don't want, at the end of the day, when my story is told, I am not going to have big government taking credit for any of it. I did this on my own. I mean, they'll probably say, oh, well, you know, all your traveling to Washington happened on D.C. roads.
On public roads. Yeah, dude. It happened on public roads that they seized from American citizens by force.
The words of Bill Clinton. Tell the truth.
No, look, people, the funniest thing to me was like, they didn't even have a basic understanding of capitalism. I don't want to use the word capitalism because it's Marx's word. It's his definition for what the process looks like. It's more just title free enterprise than actual capitalism. But most people know that term. So like I said in the first segment, some battles you just give up on. So I'll call it capitalism. And usually the problem is the closest thing most young black men have to pure unadulterated capitalism is drugs. You get this amount of drugs, you sell it for this amount of money, you make this amount of money, you buy this amount of drugs, you sell it for this amount of money, you keep doubling up, getting bigger, growing. take out the necessities of what you have to spend it on, and then whatever level you are at, go back to that level and start doubling up again. So it's a basic process that they refuse to teach kids at school, but kids are learning on the street. And then they have two options. Do I listen to the bullshit they're trying to teach me at school, or do I do what I know puts money into my pocket? I am not advocating for drugs, selling drugs and shit. I'm telling you, this is how most of the young black kids in the community learn about capitalism. They learn about it through drugs. Now, the left uses this to say that, oh, it shows you that capitalism is bad and destructive. Then you look at the other side, because the other side were the drug dealers who realized that what they were doing was stupid, so they took the money and instead of reinvested it in more drugs, they started investing it in their music. They started investing it in hip-hop. Now the people get to choose. Now they're in the middle of free enterprise. Now they're sinking or swimming by their own volition and accord. They are able to define who they are. Can they fit in? Do they have longevity? Do they have stamina? It's all based on what they're able to produce and give out to the public. No one can filter them. No one can stop them. With YouTube, with social media, it gives them a whole edge that music people didn't have 20 years ago. So in this, now, the purest, easiest, most tangible access to capitalism is hip-hop. Without a cost, is hip-hop. What if you could take that mentality and put it in every single industry? That's what capitalism does. Where you take the shame out of having hard work, out of having ethics, like understanding that people who own janitor companies, they are also able to become millionaires because they own 6 different companies that have 30 different contracts with buildings all over the city and some in the suburbs. You have to start somewhere to get to where the fuck you want to be. And all of you can't play basketball or football. All of you can't sing or rap. You're not going to get picked to kiss Denzel in the big movie scene. You're not going to be the wife of a famous person that turns you into the belle of the ball. Not every one of us gets that dream. But it doesn't mean you can't start somewhere. Start your hustle somewhere and build that shit.
And if it doesn't work, ball it up and start over again. I've been there a couple times. This
is kind of crux to what I was talking about today, that sometimes you fail and you fall down and you just have to admit that that's where you are. But you have to get up. You have to start all over. You can't at that moment blame white privilege. You can't at that moment think that you're less than or you're worth. Understand you fucked up, you failed, you learned a lesson. Now go forward and don't make those same mistakes again.
And I am still learning them. I have been in multiple fields, have had multiple business efforts. They have failed as much as this week, but I'm still going on there. The story continues.
And that's the way that capitalism works. You get the opportunity to fail. That's the thing that makes the American dream worth chasing. That where you started doesn't mean where you get to end up, where you get to stop. Everything depends on the effort and energy that you put into it. So it's one of my quotes that I love to put on Twitter where it says, the dream is free, but the hustle is sold separately. And that's what capitalism is. You have to compete. You have to get in the arena. And if you don't have the skill, then find a way to eat off a motherfucker that does. Find a way to make it work. Get in where you fit in and find a way to make it work. Stop settling or thinking that it's no honor in these things, that it should be easier. No, it's life. It won't be easier, but you have to get in the game.
Sonnie, that's racist.
I don't give a fuck if it is racist. I'm past the racist. If you want to call me a racist, call me a racist. One thing you will never call me is broke. And that's what we
bam!
Maybe not all the time, but never with the broke mentality. Even if the money comes close sometimes, I'm human. Never with the broke mentality. I get it back. I'll make it back, double it up next time. Or like Jay said, put me anywhere on God's green earth, I'll triple my worth. But understand it takes effort, it takes time, it takes energy, and it takes failure. So that's like capitalism 101, like first message of. So we're going to have to do this more and more and start taking our time and kind of explaining what each one of these little principles mean when we're defending capitalism.
I want to finish this segment with a crip walk.
Oh, no, you did.
That's just how I feel.
You stop it. All right, JaVonni. This is Did She Say That? A Breitbart Podcast or Podcast One. Please, people, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Give your girl a 5-star rating. Make sure you visit Breitbart.com. Make sure you are an informed voter. It means everything. And I'll see you next week.
Our reputation needs a new coat of paint and a delicate melody. But I say I like the bruises.
Stay tuned for 60-second AP News headlines. It takes courage to build a small business. Don't risk what you worked so hard for. Protect your small business today with Hiscox. Hiscox offers a new way to buy small business insurance. They tailor their small business insurance coverage to fit your needs, which allows you to buy only what you need. Policies start at $22.50 per month. Plus, it's easy. You can order online or over the phone from a licensed advisor in minutes. Opening any small business comes with a risk. Hiscox can keep you protected. Don't wait to purchase coverage for your small business. Visit Hiscox today to learn more about their services and get a free quote.